Hello friends, it's Nikki and welcome to my messy bookshelf. So today I am embarking on a journey, a quest, an adventure if you will. So stick around if you would like to see what the heck I am up to. So a few years ago, more like almost 2 decades ago, about 18 years ago, I came across this book called The Well-Trained Mind by Susan Wise Bauer and Jessie Wise, so a mother and daughter. And then I went on to read the other one by the daughter. So this one is about creating a classical education at home for your children. And I read this when my son was 1 year old, and he turns 19 tomorrow. So I was fascinated with that idea of, becoming more well-read and having my kids be more well-read. And then I came across this book as well, The Well-Educated Mind, which is for adults seeking to become well-read. And because of that, I sort of years ago embarked on this journey to read more classics and round out, my reading. So I did that for a few years. I discovered many classics. And I decided recently that I wanted to do a personal curriculum. Now, I have been inspired to do something a little bit different, especially because I am enrolled in school, so I have a actual curriculum that I am working on. So I am doing something a little bit different. You can see here that I took many books. I tabbed this many times, but for my new project, I have decided that instead of doing a personal curriculum, I am going to do a 50 books before 50. And I was inspired to do this by a few Booktube friends, but also because I was already sort of working on that personal curriculum. And I thought that this would be a great way to do so without being overwhelming. So I have a few years before I turn 50. I have less than 8 years, more than 7 years before I turn 50. So I am 42 and some change right now. And maybe I am starting a little bit earlier than some of my other Booktube friends. But I think when you see some of the books that I've chosen, you'll understand why I'm probably going to need a little bit more time. So like I said, I was inspired by some other Booktube friends. I saw Mark's video at the book thing, and then Jonathan at Mr. Pearson Talks Books. From there, I ended up watching a bunch of other videos from other booktubers around Booktube doing similar projects. Most of them were 30 before 30 or 40 before 40, and a few 60 before 60s, but not many 50 before 50s. So this is what I am embarking on. And because I don't want this video to be too long, I am going to split this into 2 parts. I saw some other people split it into sections with different genres, but because the vast majority of what I have on here is classics, I've decided to just do it, be chaotic, and sprinkle my contemporary and modern classics in here and there. So I will split it into 2 parts, but I will start off with some of the books. So yes, my goal is to read all 50 of these before I turn 50, because I needed more excitement in my life, I guess. So here we go. I am going to start talking about some of these choices that I have here, and I don't know which side to start from. So the first book that I have here is A Journal of the Plague Year by Daniel Defoe. And I started reading this a few years ago because I have always been obsessed with history and the Black Death and also the Great Plague in London. And this is a book about the Great Plague in London that took place in 1665, 1666, 1665. And it was very interesting. I did not make it all the way through, but I want to get through the whole thing. So I think I tried this a little too early. So Journal of the Plague Year. And I think it's just one person recounting his experience as he is walking throughout London and basically the horrific things that he comes across. So, A Journal of the Plague Year. And then mixing it up, here we have a book that I have been avoiding for several years. And this is The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. This is the second book after The Name of the Wind. What is the series called? What is the series called? Just call it The Name of the Wind series. But this is supposed to be a trilogy, but we have been waiting years and years for book 3 to come out. So I read book 1 years ago, and I adored it. I adored it. I loved it so much, I immediately went out and picked up book 2. Imagine my surprise when I found out that people have been waiting for years for book 3 to come out, and I cannot stand not having closure. I cannot stand it. So I typically avoid series that are not finished, but I've come to terms with the fact that we may never get the last book in the series. Apparently, it's always almost finished or it's being edited, but we never get book 3. So I want to finally do it. It's been sitting on my shelf for probably a decade, so. Wise Man's Fear. Yes, I loved book 1, like a lot. And then the next one is one that I started to read with a group here on Booktube when I first started my channel, and I just had so much going on that I ended up putting it down. And Another Brick. And, oh, my bookmark that I've been looking for like 2 years. There we are. Okay. So Les Mis, or Les Miserables, I hear people saying it various ways, but yeah, this is a story set in France, and I think a lot of people already know what this is about, and I'm not going to spend too long talking about each book because this is already going to be a fairly long video, but yes, I would like to finally get through this. I think, well, what page did I make it to? Oh, another bookmark. I made it 111 pages in. So, I would like to get through this book. Finally. All right. The next one I have here is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. And I am very intrigued by this book. I know the saying, Catch-22. And I know that it's about just how silly the bureaucracy is in the military. And obviously, that is something that is right up my alley because I have experienced it firsthand. So, Catch-22. Alrighty, the next one is another series that I never finished, but this one does have an ending. It's just so long. So, I would like to pick up A Crown of Swords, which is book 7 of The Wheel of Time. I made it all the way to book 6 a few years ago. And then I got Wheel of Timed out because I read them all back to back. And I would like to return to this series because I was loving it. So I would like to read the rest of the series, but at least make progress and finish book 7. So these books are so long. All of them are so long. So yeah, it's been sort of on the back burner for me for years now. So Wheel of Time. Let's please get to it. All right, the next one I have here is The Tale of Genji. The Tale of Genji. Another one that is massively huge and that I started reading. I think I made it over 300 pages in this the last time. 368 pages in. And this is a story set in Imperial Japan following one of the minor princes of the imperial court. And obviously his name is Genji. And I was so sick of Genji and his whining. Genji has the personality of a 90s Disney princess, constantly flinging himself on the bed crying over everything that's happening to him, when in reality he is rich, he is pampered, he is adored by everyone around him, and yeah, constantly upset because his many loves don't love him back. So we will see. I'm going to make it a point to get through this one because I cannot stand the fact that I made it over 300 pages, almost 400 pages in here, and didn't finish it. So that bothers me. And I mean, it's an important book. This was written by a woman in, I think, the 11th century in the imperial court of Japan. So I am very, very eager, but also apprehensive with this one because I already know Genji's personality, and I'm interested with the other stuff that's happening though, so we will see. I don't want to DNF this. I put it to the side before, and yeah, I'll stop talking about it because I keep rambling. The next one I have here is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien, and I have made it a few pages in here before, maybe almost halfway, and I would like to finally get through this one. I, in the past, have tried taking notes and, you know, mapping out different characters and all of that, but I think I am going to just go with it and read it instead of trying to make it like a textbook. So I call myself a Tolkien fan, and I have never gotten through this one, so I must get through this one. So The Silmarillion. The next one I have here, and I forgot to mention in the beginning of the video, I do have a handful of rereads because some of these I read many years ago and they are so long that I don't gravitate towards them even though I want to reread them. So putting them on this list will make it so that I have to read them and I want to read them. The first one I have here is Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell, and I read this probably 12, 13 years ago, and I remember loving it. So I would love to reread this, especially after having read so many other things about this time period since then. So Gone with the Wind, another chunker. I don't know why I do this to myself, but here we are. The next one is also a reread, and this one I have mentioned several times on my channel, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I didn't like it the first time I read it, and I wanted to revisit this for the longest time, and now I have a reason to. I have been putting it off because there are other things that I want to read, but putting it on a list like this that I want to complete, Wuthering Heights. And then I think this is the last in this stack that is a reread for me, but War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. Another one I read back in 2010, so it's been a long time. It has been a long time. And I remember enjoying it very much, but this was very early on in my reading of classics, so I would love to see how I feel about it now. I remember enjoying the war sections much more than the peace sections, but War and Peace. Another one I have been avoiding reading simply because of the length. So, War and Peace. The next one I have here, another Russian author. I have The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky, and I enjoyed Crime and Punishment a lot, and I wanted to discover more from Dostoevsky, and I know this one is one that a lot of people recommend, this one and The Idiot, but The Brothers Karamazov. I know that it's about three brothers and their father, don't know too much besides that. I do remember reading The Grand Inquisitor for a class years ago, which is a story within this story, but I don't know exactly what this is about, but I enjoyed Dostoevsky before. The next one is a nonfiction, and this is Prophet of Freedom, Frederick Douglass, a biography by David W. Blight. And I've been fascinated with Frederick Douglass after having read 2 of the books that he himself wrote. So, it's another chunker though. Nonfiction chunker. But I'm so fascinated with his life, so as long as this author doesn't make it super dry, I'll be perfectly fine and happy. All right, we have a short one here. A short one. This one is Three Men in a Boat by Jerome K. Jerome, and this is one that's been on my radar for a very long time, and it's been sitting on my shelf. It is a funny story about 3 men in a boat with their dog. It's supposed to be a comedy, and written in 1889, so a classic comedy. And I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I don't know why I haven't picked it up, but knowing how much I love the Pickwick Papers and the Jeeves, I forget which one of the Jeeves books, I really enjoyed that one as well. I think I might enjoy this one. All right, and the next one is The Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe, and this is supposed to be like the OG, the original Gothic novel. So I can't not read it. I can't not read it. I love Gothic stories. So when was this published? I know it's 1794. So yeah, this, I have to. I'm just a little concerned because this font looks very tiny, but it's okay. And then the last one in this stack is Silas Marner by George Eliot. I've been wanting to explore more George Eliot since reading Middlemarch, and I've heard many good things about this one, so Silas Marner. I don't really know anything about it, but it's been on my shelf. I found it at the thrift store, and yeah, I am going to grab the next stack of books because this was only 14. So, one moment, please. Okay, I'm back with the next stack of books. So I have here The Divine Comedy by Dante. I have read Dante's Inferno 3 times, I think, 3 or 4 times, but I have never made it through Purgatorio, and I never even started Paradiso, so I want to get through all 3. And I thought of cheating on this list and making all 3 of them separate books on the list, but we're gonna go hard or go home here. So, Divine Comedy, yes. Next one, we have a change of pace. We have Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery, a book that I should have read when I was a child, but I did not. And I would love to sort of see what all the fuss is about. I know people love this book, this series, and if they're anything near the sweetness of any of Frances Hodgson Burnett's work, I think I'll love it, so we'll see. And then another one, I guess, that could be considered a children's classic, The Wizard of Oz. This is the first 5 books, and I didn't realize that there were so many of them. So I want to read the first book. I want to read the first book and see how I like it. I've read Wicked and that entire series, but I've never read The Wizard of Oz. How is that possible? And yeah, I just love this copy. It's so cool. All right, we're getting to the end here. Well, sort of. We have a few more, but The Scarlett Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I know this one is about adultery. Scarlett Letter is an A, but I don't know too much more than that. It's been sitting on my shelf for years. And I did try to take as many of these 50 books from my shelves as possible. Not all of them will be, but the majority of them are books that have already been sitting on my shelf and I should be reading anyway. The next one I have is Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. And I don't know why I haven't read this yet. It's adventure. I believe there's adventure on the high seas, traveling to new lands. Right up my alley. And I still haven't read it, so it's on the list. It's on the list. The next one is one that I have also been avoiding for a while. A couple of years now. Beloved by Toni Morrison. I know that this book is going to gut me. I know that it's about a woman who was born into slavery and escapes, I believe, and her baby daughter, I want to say, is killed some point during that time. So I've been avoiding it because stuff with mothers and children always gets to me. So Beloved. People keep telling me I need to read it, so I'm going to read it. I am going to read it. And then the next one is finally a Dickens, Bleak House by Charles Dickens. And I know this one is quite chunky, as many of his books are, but I know this one is supposed to have really dark vibes, or so I believe. Bleak House by Charles Dickens, and it's been sitting here unread for a while. The next one I have is one that has been recommended to me for years. My best friend has been trying to get me to read this for the longest time. And yeah, it's Dune. Dune. I just want to get through the first book. I started reading it and it just didn't pull me in the first time. But because it was someone, you know, that I care about recommending it, I want to at least get through the first book. It's been so long, and she always asks me, have you read it yet? Have you read it yet? Have you read it yet? No, I haven't. So, Dune. And then we are finally getting to the end of the list. The next one I have is The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas. And I really want to read this one because I recently read The Count of Monte Cristo and I loved it. I loved it. And yes, I want more from this author. So Three Musketeers. I remember watching the movie when I was a small child. All I know is three friends and adventures, and that's really all I remember. So Three Musketeers. I am here for adventure. And then finally, number 25, we have a small one, a short one. Animal Farm by George Orwell. I think I may have read this in middle school, but I don't remember. So I am counting this as never having been read. And yeah, Animal Farm. A bunch of animals are forming their own society in the farm, I believe. And yeah, it's supposed to be very, very thought-provoking, so I'm looking forward to this one. I really enjoyed 1984, so. But this is the first 25 books on my 50 before 50 list, but this video is already getting quite long, so I will end it here and stay tuned for part 2. Thank you so much for listening to my rambling, and let me know if you've read any of these or if I'm making a mistake. But yeah, thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care.